Ciao. Today I wanted to share that story about the day that me and my girlfriend almost died. And the reason why you see me here in the kitchen with Zelda that is waiting to go for a walk, it's because actually that story begins while cooking. And now I'm cooking peas and carrots. That day actually of a couple of years ago, December 2024 or something, I was in Rome and I was arguing with George about how to cook peppers, and then we couldn't expect what was coming next. So I want to tell you more about it, but first let me get Zelda, and then we see each other downstairs. Okay. So sometimes the most crazy day starts in the most average way, and for us that day was we were heading to a birthday party, and actually we were late. And we were late because we were arguing about how to cook peppers, and I don't recall the details honestly, but I do remember that at some point we had to conclude, the discussion to prepare and to head towards the location, to the restaurant. And I remember vividly that my girlfriend used her cap under the how's it called, the helmet, and it was not very usual for her. It was, I don't know, random for her to remember that. But actually, yeah, spoiler, that little detail actually allowed her to survive. So what happened in detail? We were taking the scooter. I used to drive this kind of Vespa, maybe you've seen those, and it was in a very hectic area of Rome. There was a lot of traffic. It was very late in the evening, so everyone was coming back from work, and we were actually just starting, so 200 meters after the house where we were, which was actually my friend's house, but that's not the story. And as soon as we started with the motorcycle, I remember at some point I noticed these two bright lights heading towards us. And I don't know if you ever had a car accident of this way, but when there is a car which is heading towards you, it takes a while to realize it. At the beginning, I was like thinking, I might get crazy. Maybe it's me hallucinating or something. And it took me a while, I guess a couple of seconds while I was driving, that it was like 40 kilometers per hour. And then the other car was like 50 kilometers per hour. Then I realized that the car that it was moving towards us was actually in the wrong lane, because we were in the right one, and on our left there was so many people in the traffic, in the queue, and this car was actually in the wrong place. And I realized it, but it took me a while. In the meantime, Zelda is, I don't know, sniffing whatever she finds, where I finally realized what was happening, so that a car was heading towards us. Then I started like thinking or elaborating about what to do. And I remember, now it seems like a couple of seconds, but I remember that process took maybe half a second or some frames. And I was thinking, like, on my left I have so many cars in the traffic, so I don't want to crash towards them. And on my right there were so many people, cars parked. And then in front of us, the lane was occupied by this guy that was driving towards us. And it was dark, so I had to take a decision. And as I said, it was the two of us on the scooter. So I knew that I couldn't just stop from movement, otherwise we would have, get thrown on the ground, and it would have been dangerous. So what I did instead was deciding that the parked car were actually a safer solution than the moving one. And so I just turned the handlebar of the scooter, and at that moment, well, for a second, I managed to change trajectory. I remember that the crash happened. Bam! So after the crash, I remember that. I mean, I don't remember the impact moment, but as soon as I woke up, after like a couple seconds later, I opened my eyes. I was on the ground, and I was steady. And I remember that I had my scooter on my leg. It was like pushing towards my tibia, but I don't remember that it was like hurting. I remember though, like the screaming, and people like surrounding us, and so many people then heading towards us to help and to check on us. And I remember in that moment, the only thing I was like worrying about was where Georgia was, because she was behind me, and then at the time of the impact, the risk for her was just to get thrown. And actually, she was close to me, and she was like screaming of pain and of fear, obviously. And I managed to check on her and realized that actually she was pretty fine. She had her legs in a very strange position, but she could speak, so she was awake as I was, and we managed to check each other, and was like, we realized at least that we were alive. That was at least the first step. and it was a very, very challenging moment, because I then started realizing and checking a bit on me as well, and I realized that my hand was hurting a lot, and my leg was getting like, it was trapped under the scooter, and Georgia had a very headache. She was a very pain in her head, and she said that she couldn't move her legs. So it was a very challenging moment. It was very intense, and I would say that the thing that stuck with me the most was how long it took to get rescued. So we stayed there for a while. I remember like a couple of hours or less, at least 1 hour. And I remember people rescuing us, bringing us like blankets to stay warm, because it was December. And it took the ambulance almost 1 hour to arrive, and it was not even meant for us. Sorry, I had to change position and location because there was a chainsaw that I don't know what they were doing there. And yeah, so there was another accident like 500 meters after us, and that ambulance was heading there actually. But they stopped to at least check on us to see if we were fine, and if there was like anything that it was super urgent. Otherwise they would have prioritized us. And I remember then they started asking me, how everything happened, checking on me, if I was like lucid, and the same with my girlfriend. And I remember that I tried to tell them, take her, because she was like, she had pain in her head. So I was like, that's more important, that's urgent, please take her. And then they, in any case, even if that ambulance was not meant for us, and if I was imploring them, I was begging them for them to take Georgia, and they just they took me instead. And the reason why is that in Italy, usually the driver has to be rescued before, first, and then I remember that I arrived at the hospital that I was not feeling like that much of a pain, and it was like just waiting and thinking and wondering. And then I stayed, in this sort of not mattress, but this safe plate that they put you when you get on the ambulance. And I had to pee. I remember that I had to pee, and I couldn't, and I stayed there for 3-4 hours waiting, and didn't have any news about Georgia as well. That was the most the challenge. and I need to change location because Zedla is eating everything. And I remember that in the end they finally found me a bed, and I was allowed to go to bed, to go to pee, sorry. And now it's been 2 years. So why I'm telling you this story? So the thing is, as soon as after this traumatizing experience, and we wanted to escape from Rome, and I cannot drive a two-wheeled vehicle anymore, and I always have to pee before leaving my house because I'm afraid that if I end up in a car accident, then I cannot pee anymore. Aside from this trauma, and aside from this trauma, the point is, at the beginning we realized that life is unpredictable. Experiences and whatever happens to you, you never know what is about to happen, even just in the evening. And by that time, I remember the first months, I tried to keep in mind that I had to enjoy every moment I had, and avoiding to argue for irrelevant stuff. But then with the time that goes by, then we ended up in the same loop that we were, and we ended up doing the same mistakes. And I still think about that day as the day that I almost died, right after a pepper cooking discussion argument with my girlfriend. And I don't know, I feel like I don't want that to be the last thing I do in my life. And the thing is that I would like to remember this lesson. I would like to keep in mind that I should not spend my energy for such things. Sometimes it's more difficult than actually just saying it here. Sometimes I have to force myself to remember, and now I'm like having these videos as form of memory, long-term memory. But yeah, the point is that I want to be grateful, and I want to be present in the moment, and be less serious sometimes about the stuff and the irrelevant stuff. Focus more on the important ones, or be close to my family when it matters.